Welcome to another episode of Back to the Future, inspired by the concept that our past will inform how we move forward as a church. And we're especially delighted to have every member of this series having a very profound connection with St. John's here in Oakland. My name is Scott Denman. I'm the rector at St. John's, and it's my great joy to welcome the Reverend Christopher Craun, rector of St. Michael's All Angels in Portland, Oregon. Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
So you have a story about St. John's and your connection to it. Would you like to share that?
A story. I don't know if I can just get one story. I spent many years at St. John's and grew up there from birth all the way until I went off to college, and then had a chance to return for my discernment process for the priesthood in 2002 to 2003-ish. So my connection goes way back, and I would say that I think the thing that I miss most right now is playing, and the opportunities that we had at St. John's to play. And I think maybe because we can't be close to one another, I'm thinking in particular about our wonderful game of sardines that we played as youth, where one person would hide, and then it's like hide and go seek, except when you find the person, you hide with them. And so trying to find the best places throughout the church where you could not be found, but if you were found, that there was enough room to pile in as many youth into that hiding spot before everyone else found you. So I think maybe the combination of not being able to play with the youth group right now at my church, and also just that desire to be packed in together.
Yeah.
The connection that I'm drawing on right now is that story from being at St. John's.
Well, just the way you phrased that was inspiring in me. This concept of kids growing up in the church and having the experience of hiding and being found together. I think in some ways, in this time of feeling lost on many levels, the joy of imagining being found is really quite something. So you have a great experience at St. John's, and then you went off and you were called into ministry, and now you've got your own parish. You've been there for 10 years. How are you and your congregation handling this at this time?
It has been a very unique experience. I think that I was raised as a camp counselor to take the word challenge and turn it into special opportunity. And I think I keep trying to remind myself of that every time that we are facing a new challenge, seeing it as a special opportunity, especially in the early days where everything was changing so quickly, and needing to be a leader in evaluating, is this the Sunday that we don't go to church, where we say that the doors are shut? And are we going to be ahead of the diocese on that, or
Yeah.
Who's leading who? And I think after we got through some of those uncertainties, and now we're sort of in this new normal, that I hope never becomes the normal. But there are things that we are learning that have provided such strength and connection among our community. So some of that has been around our worship, and continuing to be in the church for Sunday mornings. And we've pared it down. There's just 3 of us that try to pull it off on Sunday mornings. But knowing that even that space, and for people to see that, has been a touchstone and something that people are connecting to as they are able. I would say that I've never known our community to be that interested in the daily office, and yet now here we are. Everybody wants more prayer, and they're like, "Wow, okay, all right, let's see if this continues into the future." But it has been such a grounding place for us to meet and to pray with one another, and so there's been a lot of a lot of strength and a lot of connection that is coming from this, and a deep, deep longing to be together, which to me is a sign of our love.
Yeah. I was on an interview recently with Mark Richardson, the Dean of CDSP, and he made an interesting point I keep repeating, which is that even when we're together around the table with the bread and the wine, there's an absence that that is still present at that, that these are all pointers, and that this could be a time. I know that's a very metaphysical way to describe it, but I thought it was theological, intriguing to think of it as a time where we're understanding that absence more, and understanding the role it can play in shaping us as a community. But you are also the managing director of Confirm, Not Conform, which is a national confirmation program that started here at St. John's, Oakland. And it's wonderful to work with you on that level as well. How do you see that, that playing into or responding to or impacting the church moving forward? Maybe we need to write some new programs. I don't know.
I think unfortunately there's a lot that we would have to revise to make it accessible for the time that we're in right now. And that I continue to think of all the ways that we need to do that work and have not yet found the time to incorporate that into all the other things that are going on. And yet the thing that I think is true is that our youth have a resilience that we can learn from. And I see even my 5.5-year-old, Jack, is learning, the first day that we had a Zoom call with his kindergarten class, he was hiding under the dining room table. And now he's doing Zoom play dates with his friends. And that you can see that they're riding this out and holding so much of it inside of their tiny, tiny beings. And yet they're coming out of it with this resilience and this understanding that I think is really empowering for them and for us. And so looking at that for Confirm, Not Conform, I was about 10 sessions in with my class, right as we were coming into this, and having a platform to connect with them and hear that even planting those seeds of faith and what we want our youth to go toward during times of struggle is the strength of Confirm, Not Conform. Which is like the speech that we give parents at the beginning of every year, is that what do you want your youth to rely on during times of struggle? And so I think there's a lot that can be used and helpful during this time with the Confirm, Not Conform program.
Right. What surprises have you found along the way now with your congregation? I mean, you already mentioned one that, wow, people actually want to pray more. And you've been, a key leader in the College for Congregational Development, and I'm sure this is going to shape some new models moving forward there. But I know I've been surprised by some things, and I'm curious about what surprises you have found that are intriguing to you and maybe inspiring some shaping of the future in a different way for your congregation.
I think one of the things that's been most interesting, especially at the start of this, was recognizing that this sort of technology has been here all along, and it's taken something like this pandemic for church and faith leaders to utilize it. And so the technology has been like, we're here, use us, help, we can help you. Like, no, that's not how we do church. And yet here we are having to implement and use and utilize something that's been waiting for us for so long. And so I think that's been surprising to me. I think that last week I do on Thursdays from 4 to 5, I do a self-care and compassion hour with the rector, Craun. And the last 2 Thursdays, it's been a dance party. that on Thursdays at 4 o'clock, we have a big Zoom room, and I learned how to stream music through Zoom. And last week we had about 20 families and households get on and just dance for an hour.
What
And that was surprising that people were willing to get on a Zoom call and dance and just find some relief and release in a time that has been really stressful. It was surprising and joyful.
that's great.
And I think with the College for Congregational Development, we actually are having a Zoom meeting next week with the trainers to talk about how are we utilizing these models during this time. And again, I was like, are we supposed to be utilizing models right now? Like, I'm just trying to get through the day. But one of the examples was around a model around faith development and community, and how is it that we're finding where people are, like meeting people where they are and inviting them to go deeper in their faith. And so this technology and this and the way in which we have to know that some people are not going to have access to this. How are we meeting them where they are and inviting them to come deeper? And so that's definitely a model that I'm thinking about, or will think about before my meeting next week.
I was surprised. I feel kind of guilty about it, actually. I had this idea that why don't I Zoom with Dr. John Cater. He's in Hong Kong right now, and maybe he'd have something to say about the readings that week. Well, this was sort of a one-time commitment, and he loved it so much. He was saying, "Can we do it next week?" And and now we've done it like 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah, that's
And
great.
I think it's an adult ed. I feel a lot of adult education coming out of this, and that people can tune in, when they can, but it's going to be interesting to see what continues moving forward and what sort of falls literally off the screen.
Yeah.
So, well, thank you so much for taking the time to connect with us, and it's great, always great to see you, and hear what you're doing, and thank you for serving the Confirm, Not Conform and the College for Congregational Development, and us older types just love to see the younger energy that's there, creating and looking for new opportunities for the church. So, and of course, it's great to have your parents at St. John's, and so we stay in touch that way as well. So thank you. And do you have any parting comments or thoughts for us?
It was a pleasure to chat with you, and I look forward to seeing you all in the future, very much so.
Same here. Thank you, Chris.
Bye.
Bye.